10 Worst Auditions of All Time. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the screening. Got Talent gave us dozens of unforgettable acts over the years, but that's a pretty broad term. Most of them are remembered to this day because they were remarkable. But there are some that were so terrible that we still wish we could forget them. The judges usually tried to put a stop to all the nonsense as soon as it started unraveling, but most of the time, it was already too late. Let's take a look at the 10 worst auditions of all time. Before we take a walk down memory lane, make sure to subscribe to our channel to watch more amazing content about movies and TV shows you love. Number 10, Mr. Methane.
Being straight unless he doesn't.
Britain's Got Talent judges have seen dozens of atrocious acts, but they never expected to witness one that also smells bad. Professional farter Mr. Methane somehow managed to pull this off during his audition on season 3. Simon Cowell and the gang could tell they're about to see something really weird as soon as he hit the stage. Dressed in a green cape and purple shorts, Mr. Methane exceeded their expectations, but not in a good way. He described himself as a flatulist and said he's there to put the art into fart. Simon and Amanda pressed the buzzer before he even started performing, hoping that they'll be able to make him stop. That didn't happen, and Mr. Methane proceeded with farting out a rendition of the Blue Danube. Piers Morgan actually let him finish and laughed along with the rest of the audience. Simon Cowell described him as a disgusting creature, but the professional farter wasn't offended by his comment and kept on doing his act in the years to come. Number 9, Brian and Melanie.
Burning ring of fire, down, 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 and the flames went higher, and it burns, burns, burns.
Judges are fine with sitting through terrible acts because they've seen more of them than they can count. But they aren't so pleased when someone comes along and puts their safety in danger. That was the case with father-daughter duo Brian and Melanie, aka Little Firewater and White Dove. Even before they hit the stage, the audience noticed many signs their knife-throwing act could go horribly wrong. Brian was the one who caused concerns because he was extremely nervous and could hardly hold a bottle of water because his hands were shaking the whole time. That didn't stop him from getting on stage and throwing burning knives at his daughter as Ring of Fire played in the background. All hell broke loose when one of the knives bounced off the wooden panel he was aiming at. The judges were forced to press their buzzers as the knives repeatedly missed the target and started flying around the stage. Melanie tried to convince them that she wasn't in any danger, but Simon told her that she shouldn't be arguing with him since he just saved her life. Number 8, Paul Hunn. If you've ever had a burping competition with your buddies after drinking a can of your favorite soda, you're not the only one. Paul Hunn was apparently so good at this that he got the nickname the Burper, and went on to convince himself his weird skill is an actual talent. He showed up on stage holding a glass of Coca-Cola and let out a loud burp that immediately got the buzzer from Simon Cowell. The rest of the judges also wanted him to stop, and he was out after a couple of burps. The audience was disgusted and they couldn't wait for his act to stop. Despite the fact that everyone in the studio was repulsed by his performance, the Burper King didn't let the haters bring him down. There's a whole community of people out there trying to achieve the same thing he did, since Paul Hunn just happens to be the holder of the Guinness World Record title for the loudest burp. Number 7, Christian Sprighten. The Got Talent audience had to sit through dozens of awful acts, but they've never had to watch the same one twice. Christian Sprighten is the only exception to this rule, since he made it to the semi-finals after David Walliams shocked everyone in the studio by pressing the golden buzzer. Sprighten's rendition of Sex Bomb was so bad that everyone buzzed him off right away. But the Little Britain star found the act funny and delightful. At one point, he even climbs the table to protect his red buzzer from Simon Cowell, who wanted to press it in his place. but it didn't work. That didn't stop Williams from getting what he wanted. He gave Frighten the coveted golden buzzer and sent him directly to the next round. The rest of the judges weren't too happy about it because they felt he took away a spot from a contestant that has actual talent. Number 6. Paul Stark.
My nan took a shower the other day. I said I want it back. Oh, come on. Seriously. Where's your sense of humor?
They say comedy is subjective, but not when it comes to Paul Stark. Everyone in their right minds would agree that he would be better off doing anything else. And he proved this during his Britain's Got Talent audition. His stand-up routine was so bad that Simon Cowell even told him that those were some of the worst jokes he's ever heard. The fact he stopped in the middle of his routine also didn't help, and neither did holding a paper the whole time. Needless to say, Paul Stark was immediately voted off the competition, but he never actually hoped he'll make it through. It turns out this wannabe comedian is actually a creation of 21-year-old student Tom Pinks. His character Paul Stark is deliberately bad, and that's part of his charm. But most people don't find it that funny. This wasn't the first time he faced rejection in front of a large audience. Angry punters at one of his gigs chased him out of the pub, and he had to stay in character the whole time. Number 5. Anthony Panozzo.
When I see one girl, I wanna be with you.
Just because you grew up dreaming about being a singer doesn't mean you actually have enough talent to transform this dream into reality. Lawyer Anthony Panozzo, who appeared on season 12 of America's Got Talent, is a case in point. The only thing worse than his singing were the lyrics of his original song, Young Enough, inspired by his wife who is 25 years his junior. Before he started singing, the audience was actually on Anthony's side. They cheered him on after his wife joined him on stage and told the audience his singing was really good. Unfortunately, when you love someone, you often fail to see their flaws. And that's probably what happened here. Anthony had no talent whatsoever, and the judges immediately buzzed his act while the audience booed in the background. Simon Cowell felt they were being too harsh and let him sing the second song, but it was even worse than the first. Number 4. The Double Take.
Because they're quite a limited instrument.
They are timbrels, Simon.
Candy and Kat didn't accomplish much with their Britain's Got Talent audition, but at least they managed to tell everyone who wanted to listen that trimble and tambourine aren't the same thing. The two ladies performed under the stage name The Double Take and tried to share their love for this medieval instrument with the rest of the world. But it just wasn't working. By the time all the judges pressed the buzzer, everyone in the studio started booing and waited for the torture to stop. Simon told the duo everything about their act was wrong, and said there's a reason why no one's playing the tambourine has been successful before. The ladies at home corrected him one last time, and lectured the viewers at home about the difference between a timbrel and the tambourine once again. Number 3. Donald Bellgam. The only good thing about bad auditions is the fact that judges have the power to make them stop by buzzing them off. But this doesn't always work. Some of the contestants believe that they can change their minds by going on like nothing happened, and the singer Donald Bellgam is one of the most notable examples. His rendition of Valerie by Amy Winehouse got a buzzer from Simon so quickly, people couldn't even tell what song he was trying to perform. But Ant and Dec encouraged them to keep going. They probably regretted it later on, since Donald didn't know how to stop. The audience had his back, but that didn't stop Mr. Nazi from describing him as the worst singer he's ever seen. Unlike this notorious judge, everyone else in the studio found Donald delightful and asked him to sing some more. His version of I Will Always Love You and Bleeding Love were even worse. But he was so carefree and offbeat that everyone in the studio loved him, despite the fact that he couldn't sing to save his life. Number 2. Nicki Flash.
Guys, just drag him off.
Nicki Flash became a laughingstock of a whole nation after his horrible act earned him the title of the worst magician in talent show history. From the first moment he hit the stage, Nicki seemed too dazed and confused to actually pull his act off. Escape artists are usually composed and calm, and he didn't possess any of these qualities. His routine spectacularly backfired after only a few seconds, as he tried and failed to get himself out of a large bag. The judges immediately buzzed him off and had a hard time figuring out what the hell he was trying to accomplish. Simon Cowell was so done with this whole thing that he told the first aiders to drag him off the stage. Number 1. The Singing Souls.
You sing, and I'll judge you.
Judge Judy?
When Simon Cowell offends you by saying you sound like a cat being dragged up the motorway, that's usually a cue to leave the stage and deal with the embarrassment you just faced behind closed doors. The worst part about the audition by girl bands The Singing Souls was the fact that they weren't leaving without a fight. The leader, Hannah, turned the audience against them before they even started singing, because she seemed too confident for their own good. They tried to impress the judges with their rendition of Taking Over Me by Evanescence, but they pressed the buzzer before the girls had time to finish. As if the booing from the audience wasn't enough, Hannah added fuel to the fire when she started arguing with Simon. She even challenged him to get up on the stage and show off his singing skills, but he wasn't provoked by her remarks. They eventually managed to smooth things out, and the Singing Souls left the stage without causing any more damage. Thank you very much for watching today's video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more amazing content, and don't forget to check out one of the other 2 videos on your screen.